question is, how long have we all known each other?
Oh my goodness. Oh, do you want to start, Welly?
Okay, I actually don't even know. When did we meet each other? I think I met Charlie. Did I meet you in '94 at that workshop? Was that when we met each other first?
I don't know years. I remember I remember you in a workshop in Brighton. And was it in Brighton? Yeah. And you were still in your chair, I think. So when would it have been?
Yeah. That would be '94.
Oh my goodness.
1994.
Oh my goodness. Right. Yeah. And Katie.
So I think similar. I think I met you both in '96. Because we know each other so well. But I think that was what made it as not sensitive, but it made the film what it is. I think it's really important for me that we all knew each other in a really in a very personal way.
I think what you said about wanting the eye of the viewer to be an eye that really knows you, I totally understand, because I think, you didn't want an objective or voyeuristic eye, and yet we do play with sort of, performance in a public way and then in a very personal way. And I think as you say, Kate, there's an intimacy because of our relationship and because of your relationship between you, quite delicate edge around ownership, because it does walk along those edges, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I also think that if we were with somebody else, so say if somebody else had come in and made that film, we wouldn't have let them do that with us. I don't think, because it's you, and you've been through our whole history, pretty much our whole history of our working life.
Yeah.
You've been like a mentor to us, so that we came into the company, and you were a mentor to then. So you've known us in so many different scenarios. Like we've stayed together in hotels. We've talked together. We've lived together. We've done so many different things, worked together.
Yeah.
That you know us on a completely different level than, say, if we'd got somebody in that we hadn't toured with before, or we hadn't met years and years ago, or hadn't been through the whole journey with us.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's been ins and outs of times when we haven't seen each other, but we kind of know where each other's at all the time.
There's a real connection, isn't there? And I think that is the complexity, though, because I was drawn to work with that connection, because that's what I so love about our relationship and your relationship between you two. But at the same time, a film becomes very public. So I think that's been the sort of the delicacy, if you like, or the challenge. And
I think that's really interesting, because I think in terms of, I think we can agree. I don't know, I'd be interested, Charlotte, in what your thoughts were, because I don't think that Welly and I, we certainly didn't have a conversation about ownership or authorship about the film. We were not explicit in terms, there was no shared conversation between the three of us.
No.
And I don't think that's unusual. I don't think that's at all unusual for collaborators. I don't actually think it's unusual for people who don't know each other to necessarily sit down before an artistic collaboration saying, right, maybe in a formal, when you're contracting a choreographer to make work on a company, but in the kind of work that we were doing, I don't think that's unusual.
No.
And I don't know, what were your thoughts? Did you think about it? Because obviously there's something more tangible about film that because it's really interesting hearing you say about film as so public. And I know it's really naive, but I think I absolutely, in my mind, still all the way through the process and building up to the process, thought that the film would be ours, the three of ours. I didn't even think about the public view.
Yeah.
And I wonder, when you say that, how much ownership and authorship and the publicness of it was in your thinking before we started to work.
Well, I'm embarrassed to say that I've only just realised it now. That you'd think, as somebody that makes film and is interested in film, I'd be more aware of that. But I think I've learnt that through this process and through watching it since we've made it. Because for me, it was just about the three of us. It was never about how it might be viewed by the public. I mean, also it was research money, and we didn't even know necessarily that it would work or that it would go public. And we certainly didn't imagine it would win awards or be a success. So no, I didn't think about that. And I think now if I was to go into another project, I think I would be much more savvy, if you like, about ownership. Even when you've talked about the fact that you own your bodies, I think that's so true. We in a way, I was thinking, what do we own? We actually can only really own our physical bodies, our actions, our words. I don't know, what do we, I was thinking, before we had this conversation, what do I actually own? I don't even own my house. I don't own my relationships. They're live, and I don't really even own money. My son.
No. But and also, I don't want to get this wrong, but I'm pretty sure in legal terms we don't own our own bodies either. As in, you can't do whatever you want to your body. There are boundaries. I think, I'd need to. I'm pretty sure
really?
You don't. Yeah, I think you don't. You can't own.
But surely we can do what we want to our own bodies, but we can't do it to anyone else.
I don't think so. I don't think that's true. I'll have to look into it. But I don't think you own your own body, and I think it. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'd say that's that probably lays at the heart of. I don't know. It feels like that could lay at the heart of a lot of our. Because one of the problems we have in society is that we don't own our bodies.
Yeah.
And if we did, we might be in a better place.
Yeah. But you're saying that from a very body-aware position. When you talk about body ownership, I think you're drawing upon that kind of dancery term of being in one's body, and kind of if we felt solid, or if we I think you're talking about body ownership in a different way, in a way that I would understand owning a body.
I suppose I'm thinking of it in a therapeutic way, that most people that I work with, really at the root of it is a kind of disconnect from various aspects of ourselves, and mainly it's our body.
Yeah.
I have a funny one with my leg, because my leg's owned by the NHS, so it's not actually owned by me, and I feel like it is owned by me. Yeah. It's just weird things that they'll put, every time I go in, they'll put a sticker on it saying, owned, by NHS, and put my name on it, but it's like owned by them.
Oh, wow.
And I'll put a sticker off every time. But it's a funny one, because you sort of think, well, what if they did just suddenly go, actually, we want that back? Or, those weird, it's like,
funny.
But it's like, it's funny. And then they tinker about with it, take it away and tinker about with it. And you think, that it is actually theirs to tinker about. It's not mine.
And then when it comes back, does it feel different?
It does. It's like if somebody played around with a shoe and did funny things on a shoe, it would feel like it's different.
Or when you have your teeth done and how weird they feel for that day.
Yes, yeah, like that, yeah.
But why do you take the sticker off? Is that an act of kind of rebellion?
Yeah. It's not yours, it's mine.